Hello, 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 my loves. All right, so we are definitely live right now. So, if you're used to my typical lives, you'll notice that things are looking a little different. We're about to get into some really different stuff today, some really great stuff. All right, but of course, I want to take some time out to thank you for joining me this evening. I know that you could be doing a lot of things, but choosing to be here right now really pleases me, number one. And number two, this is going to be a really great experience because we're going to be doing a little more than manifestation, right? We're at a very interesting time right now, okay? So my computer is over here. Let me just look at my phone to see the chat. I just want to make sure that you guys can hear me all right first, because I have a whole new setup right now, and it's really different. Okay. All right. So if you guys can hear me, definitely put a 1 in the chat right now, so I know that my audio is working and I'm not talking to myself. And in the meantime, and in between time, as we're waiting for things to develop, get comfortable, relax. This is going to be a very different kind of vibe tonight. So hopefully you guys are wearing some comfy clothes. Hopefully you guys are, in a place where you have minimal distractions, because like I said, we're going to be doing a little more than just manifestation. Okay, perfect. All right. I'm so excited to see all of you. Hello, Doug, Scorpio Muse. I see Mel F. Good evening, everyone. So I am so excited to be bringing this type of content to you because things are developing here at Divine Feminine Works. As a matter of fact, things are expanding, okay? And I use the word expanding intentionally because we're at a time right now where the key word is expansion. The astrology supports it, the energy supports it, and you've probably started to feel it already. We are either being pushed beyond our comfort zone, or we're starting to experience things starting to move rapidly, starting to develop rapidly. And maybe you feel like you can't necessarily catch your breath, or you can't catch up to things, or you're trying to get a handle of things and it's kind of getting all over the place. So the purpose of this video tonight is not just to talk to you about manifestation, but it's also to integrate the astrology, number one, the current astrology with what's going on in the sky right now, and also do a little bit of healing work. Okay. So like I said before, I use the word expansion or expanding intentionally because Spirit is having me move in a direction that I have been guided to move for a while now, but my humanity has kind of gotten in the way. So I've been a little hesitant, a little unsure, I've lacked some clarity. And over the last couple of days, Spirit was like, it's time. So here at Divine Feminine Works, most of you know me as just an astrologer, right? And I indeed am an astrologer, and that will not change, nor will my astrology content on this channel change. But Divine Feminine Works was always meant to be a holistic company, and it is, offering holistic services. I do everything holistically. So astrology is just one facet of what I do. And so my purpose is threefold. It is insight, it is healing, and it is conscious creation. So the insight part is the astrology. The healing part is sound therapy. And the conscious creation part is manifestation. So these are the three foundational pillars that make up Divine Feminine Works. And so my content is going to begin to reflect a lot of that beginning today. Spirit actually pushed me into doing this. So if you watch the weekly astro forecast on Monday, as I was doing the forecast, I was hearing like, wow, this is a really important time for manifestation with everything that's going on in the sky. And so like on the fly, I was like, hey, I think that I should do a video on manifestation or do a live on manifestation, right? So at that time, I was like, all right, that was on Monday. I was like, all right, I'm going to go live Tuesday. Nothing crazy, just real simple, blah, 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 blah. And as I'm going, I'm going about my work on Tuesday, Spirit had me go to the beach. Spirit had me go to the water and really reflect on everything that I'm doing. And Spirit was like, that today is not the day to go live. You should schedule it on Wednesday. And it's got to be like this sort of big production. And by big production, Spirit just means that I really need to be intentional about everything that I'm doing with this. So the day is intentional. Today's Wednesday. Wednesday is ruled by Mercury. Okay. And Mercury is a major player right now because we're currently in Gemini season, and Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Okay. And Jupiter is about to enter Gemini. Again, Gemini is ruled by Mercury. So Mercury day for Mercury kind of things, right? So that's one. Number two, it is currently 9:30 on the East Coast, and this is the Venus hour. And this is really important with respect to manifestation because Venus represents love, it represents money, but it represents desire and passion and pleasure. And that has a lot to do with manifestation too, particularly with the healing exercise that we are going to be doing this evening. We are reclaiming our creative power, okay? Now, if you noticed in the intro video or the little intro that started playing before I started speaking, it was the symbol of the sacral chakra. Now, I know this doesn't necessarily sort of go into, everything about manifestation. I'll be getting to that later. Again, I take everything from a holistic point of view, and our sacral chakra is from where we create within us. And not funny enough, but this should come as no surprise that our sacral chakra of all the 7 chakras typically tends to be the messiest, right? Our sacral chakra is associated with our sexual organs. It's our abundance. It's our pleasure. And a lot of us hold a lot of trauma. A lot of us have experienced a lot of wounding related to sex, related to pleasure, related to abundance. And we kind of hold that energy in. And so that's typically why our sacral chakra tends to be the messiest. And so tonight we're going to work on starting to clear some of that energy out so that we're not just manifesting, manifestation in and of itself. Like if you look at the other content and, all of the techniques and stuff like that, without being healthy energetically, you're kind of just putting a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound, right? You can still manifest without being healed. There are a lot of videos out there that'll tell you that you don't need to be healed to manifest. Oh, healing. If you focus on healing, you're going to get into this spiral of healing. And that is true to a certain extent. However, you also don't want to be manifesting from a place of lack, from a place of wounding, because what's going to end up happening is you'll manifest what you want, but you likely won't be able to keep it or sustain it. And so because we do everything holistically around here, we are putting ourselves in a position to not only manifest, but to sustain and to thrive. All right. So lots to cover tonight. And so going back to what I was saying before, Spirit had me get all of this sort of new equipment, do things a little differently. Like I said, I'm being very intentional, right? So it's Mercury day, it's Venus hour. These are the 2 planets that are really sort of the focus with what we're talking about tonight. If you notice behind me, I've got the color orange. Orange is associated with the sacral chakra. Okay. Everything is intentional. And this is what I want you to get into the habit of doing and being is intentional. Okay. So you're in for a treat this evening because, we're doing a lot. So if things don't move as seamlessly as they normally do, please bear with me because Spirit has me outside of my comfort zone. And if I'm being completely transparent, I'm actually slightly nervous right now. So I'm trying my best to hold it together to give you the best of me this evening. All right. So again, hello to everybody in the chat. I'm so happy to see all of you guys. All right. And so if you're catching me here live, okay, I want you to, like I said before, get comfortable and relax. I'm actually about to give you a minute to do so in a second. All right. And if you're watching this on the replay, I'm still going to give you a minute. Don't worry about it. But I also want you to be intentional about this. This particular video, as opposed to my other videos, is not meant to be viewed or listened to like a podcast. This is going to be interactive. So you need to be here. You need to be here with me right here, right now. So get comfortable. I want you to get hydrated. As a matter of fact, I've got my water here and I want to show you my new little glass. This is my Virgo coffee tumbler. I've actually got all zodiac signs. So if you think this is cute, if you like it, let me know. I'm about to launch some of these pretty soon. So let me know if you like these. All right. So again, stay hydrated, get some water, get comfy, right? Light some candles. Tonight, I'm going to be lighting my favorite all-time candle, which is my calm candle. This is actually my proprietary candle. I make and sell luxury candles, and my calm candle is sage and lavender. I love this because it not only smells absolutely amazing, but it definitely sets the mood, clears the energy, and just really makes you feel good and relaxed. So get your favorite candle, light it up. I will do that right now. All right, cool. If you like these, I will actually link them to the video so that you could check them out. Grab some if you want to. All right, and so now I'm about to give you guys a minute to get it together, get comfortable. Turn off your phones. This is going to be a distraction-free zone this evening, so turn off your phones if you can. Sit back or lie down if you want and get ready. So I'm about to give you guys 1 minute. All right, are we ready? So we're actually going to begin with some breathing exercises, all right, or a breathing exercise, I should say. Okay, so I want you to sit back, I want you to relax, and I want you to close your eyes. All right, get comfy, turn off all distractions, just listen and participate. Okay. So we're going to begin with a deep inhalation. I want you to breathe in through your nose and then out through your mouth as though you are blowing through a straw. All right. Again, deep inhalation in through the nose and out through the mouth as though you are blowing through a straw. Again, deep inhalation in, perhaps the deepest breath you've taken today. In through the nose and out through your mouth as though you're blowing through a straw. One more time, deep inhalation in through the nose and out through the mouth as though you're blowing through a straw. All right, so now I want you to bring your focus to your feet and visualize the chakra at your feet as though it is a large eye. And on your next inhalation, I want you to blink the chakra at the feet open as though you were opening your eyes. And then exhale as though you're blowing through your mouth. Exhale as though you were blowing through a straw. And then on your next inhalation, same thing, but now we're going to take our consciousness and our attention to the palms of our hands. On your next inhalation, I want you to blink the chakra at your palms open. Deep inhalation in, blinking those chakras open. And exhale as though you were blowing through a straw. On your next inhalation, I want you to envision your crown chakra as if it is like a sunroof. On your next inhalation, I want you to open the sunroof of your crown chakra. Good. And then exhale as though you are blowing through a straw. And so now we're going to continue the breathing, but I want you to breathe in. Every time you inhale, I want you to breathe in through the soles of your feet. And every time you exhale, I want you to exhale out of the sunroof of your crown. So deep inhalation through the soles of your feet and deep exhalation through the crown of your chakra, your crown chakra. Again, deep inhalation through the soles of your feet and exhale through your crown chakra. Again, deep inhalation through the soles of your feet. And exhale through your crown chakra. Okay. Last one, deep inhalation through the soles of your feet. And finally, deep exhalation through your crown chakra. All right. So I want you to take notice of how you feel in your body right now. The point of this exercise is to relax you. It's to regulate your nervous system, to get you comfortable. So hopefully you're feeling that way. But I also want you to take notice of any other things that you're feeling. If you're seeing anything, if maybe there's a part of your body that's tingling, take notice of that. You don't need to harp on it right now, but just take notice. And maybe at a later time, you can go back and sort of explore what all of that is. Okay. Now, as I said before, manifestation has a lot to do with our sacral chakra. Okay. And again, it tends to be the messiest chakra of all. It is the seat of our creativity. But if it's cluttered, it's really hard for us to manifest effectively, to really sit in the power and the greatness that is our ability to create, right? So I'm going to do a quick clearing of our sacral chakras with my sound bowl. Okay. So again, sit back, relax, sit down, lie down. It's up to you. Okay. You can close your eyes. You don't have to, but just listen. Listen and take it all in. All right. So how are we feeling? Hopefully you're feeling good, you're feeling relaxed, and you're feeling ready to get this information. All right. So grab some water real quick. And let's get into it. So, all right. So let's talk astrology first, since that's very relevant right now, and that's usually what I start with. So, as I mentioned on Monday, we are at a point in time where manifestation is always relevant. Let me say that. But we're at a point right now where we need to discuss this so that we're sort of all on the same page with respect to sort of how to do this effectively. because there's a lot of content out there that'll teach you all the latest hacks, how to get your SP in 3 days or whatever it is. That's not what we're doing here. So if you've come here for hacks and techniques, I'm sorry to disappoint, but that's not exactly how I go about things. However, we will discuss sort of the technicalities of manifestation a little later. But the astrology is such that our powers of manifestation are actually becoming accelerated at this point. So earlier I went on Instagram and I posted on my story about how things are coming to pass so much more quickly. And have you noticed that? Because I'll give you a perfect example. So I used to represent and manage artists, okay? And about 3 weeks ago, I was listening to Spotify, and you know how Spotify will put together playlists. One of the artists that I had briefly worked with years ago popped up on my playlist, and I was like, wow, I haven't really seen him or heard from him in a long time. I wonder what he's up to. And it was literally just a passing thought. Like, it wasn't anything that I was like really focused on. So I went to sleep, whatever. I wake up the next morning, I have a text message from his manager. And the text literally said, hey, Mel, here's what so-and-so has been up to. Here's a link to his latest performance. And I was like, is this guy in my head? Did this guy literally hear what I was saying? It's like the minute you think of something, it comes to pass. I can't tell you how many times I'll think of someone, and as I am thinking of them, they text. I feel like a couple of years ago, this isn't something new that started happening to me, and I'm pretty sure you'll agree with this as well. But I feel like in the past, it was like I would think about someone and maybe 2 days later or a week later, they would hit me up. Now it's like almost instantaneously. So our powers of manifestation are being heightened, and the astrology supports this unbelievably. So this week in particular, we've got the Sun trine Pluto and we've got Venus trine Pluto. Now, Pluto is a very powerful planet. It's a very magnetic planet. When we're talking about manifestation and when we're talking about the sacral chakra, we create from our feminine energy, right? We attract things to us. And so Pluto is the most magnetic planet. It's that subconscious magnetism. Think about the ocean, right? And how you have that undercurrent that you can't see, or those riptides that can just pull you in, and before you know it, you're all the way out to sea, right? That's sort of how Pluto operates, okay? And so with the Sun trine Pluto and Venus trine Pluto, we have this awareness of this magnetism right now. We are conscious of our powers of magnetism and our powers of creation right now. Okay, I just had to check the chat to make sure you guys could still hear me okay. So we have this consciousness, this awareness of our magnetism, our ability to create things through magnetism, right? And Pluto is currently in Aquarius, which is a huge deal. You know, Pluto spent quite a while in Capricorn, which was an air sign, right? Which is an earth sign. So Pluto in Capricorn was concerned about a lot of our tangible 3D things, okay? Now that Pluto has moved into Aquarius, we are at the point where we are transforming the way that we think. We are improving the way that we think. And this is the essence of manifestation, particularly at this time. Aquarius is like, listen, however you've done things in the past, that's not how it's going to be done in the future. In the future, we are going to be thinking differently. We're going to be communicating differently. And so it makes sense that we sort of need to clean ourselves up energetically, and we need to sort of fine tune our manifestation abilities at this point so that we can go into the future and have different, have better, have improvements, have innovations, right? And that's exactly what's going on right now. And again, what the purpose of this video is, okay? So this week, you're going to be aware of your magnetism. And this goes back to what I was just saying about how you think about something and immediately it shows up. Notice of those kind of things that are happening right now. And also kind of take notice if they're not happening. If they're not happening, then maybe you need to check how you're thinking. What is your mental diet like, right? Because it's more than just, it's a twofold process, right? It's our consciousness, what we think about, like what we're conscious of thinking about, but it's also our subconscious, what program is running in the background, because it's our subconscious that is reflected back to us in our reality. And so manifestation isn't just about affirmations and thinking good thoughts. It's about having the right program running in the background of your subconscious to see that play out in front of you. Okay. So Pluto is a major player right now. And what I love about Pluto being a major player is that Pluto is currently retrograde. So Pluto retrograde is like we're taking that energy of Pluto, that magnetism, and we're directing it inward. So it allows us to be intentional about changing the way that we think, about rewiring our subconscious. That is why it is so important. And that is why Spirit has urged me to do this video right now, because the time is right now. But then not only that, so not only do we have the Sun trine Pluto and we've got Venus trine Pluto, it is Gemini season. Gemini is mental activities. It's the first of the air signs. It's all about our thoughts. It's all about our mental activity. Gemini is ruled by Mercury. And today is Wednesday, Mercury day, right? And if you're wondering where I'm getting these days associated with the planets, it's all about planetary days and hours. I just did a video about that a couple of weeks ago. I'll put the link in the description box below so that you guys can check that out. But yeah, Gemini, air sign, ideas, communication. Now is the time to get your mind right. And then on top of that, we have a major astrological event going down on Saturday, and that is Jupiter will be moving into Gemini. So we not only have the Sun in the sign of ideas and communication, we're also going to have Jupiter in the sign of ideas and communication. And Jupiter changes signs every 12 months or so. So while Jupiter will be entering Gemini on Saturday, this Jupiter transit, Jupiter in Gemini, will last into 2025. So we have a full year of Jupiter in Gemini. And this is so important because Jupiter expands. Not only does Jupiter expand, Jupiter is all about abundance. Now, typically when people hear abundance, they think money, they think prosperity. And that is true. Abundance can include prosperity. It can include material abundance, but abundance just means a lot. And with Jupiter, the planet of abundance, in a sign of mental activity like Gemini, what do you think that means? An abundance of thoughts. Now, if thoughts become things, I pose this question to you. What are you thinking about a lot? What's running through your mind repeatedly? What stories do you tell yourself? What is your inner dialogue like? Whatever the answer to that question is, I want you to blow that up exponentially, because that's exactly what Jupiter is going to be doing once it goes into Gemini. Now, I'm not saying that to scare you, right? I'm saying that so that you can begin to be intentional and conscious of what you are thinking. Now, depending on where you are in your spiritual journey, whether you are, just now getting into conscious creation or manifestation or anything like that, or even if you're a bit seasoned, it's fair to say that when you first embark on the fact that you're a conscious creator, you kind of get a little nervous and scared, right? You're like, wow, you feel like you have to monitor every thought and you feel like you have to overthink things. And I want to tell you that you don't. You don't. The way that I will be guiding you through manifestation will help you do it from a place of relaxation and a place of natural abilities. Now, those are things that I do hear some people saying when it comes to manifestation, but people really downplay the fact that manifestation isn't something outside of you. manifestation is something that you do all the time. The only difference is that you've been doing it unconsciously. So you know how you'll be mindlessly scrolling on Instagram, or how you will just mindlessly eat. You're like, oh, let me just have a couple of chips, right? And before you know it, you're just mindlessly eating and then the whole bag is done. A lot of us are mindless in our relationships. We're just sort of on this weird autopilot. And we end up feeling like life happens to us, like circumstances happen to us, when what's really happening is that you are unconsciously creating the reality that you are seeing. And it's important to understand that, because if you can unconsciously create it, you can most definitely consciously create it. And when you become intentional about it, that's when things really start to change. I know that's what started changing in my life. It got to a point where I felt like life, okay, the phrase that I want to use is very vulgar, so I will not use it, but I felt like life was kicking me in the ass all the time. And I felt like I was completely out of control. Like I didn't even know how to begin to change things. And fortunately for me, and I use this word intentionally, I lost everything. And all I had was time and my mind. That's when the real work started and the real magic started to happen. All about intent and consciousness, okay? So with Jupiter in Gemini, you're going to have a lot of thoughts, a lot. You probably are already starting to already. You kind of feel like an Energizer bunny, just ready to go, ready to go, ready to go. And I think I said this in the weekly astro forecast on Monday, like you have to use discernment, because there's going to be a lot of opportunities. There's going to be a lot of activity going on. Not even just a lot of activity, a lot of distractions. There's going to be so much vying for your mental attention. And I want you to understand the value that your thoughts and your consciousness holds all the time, but specifically right now. With Jupiter in Gemini, the more you focus on distractions, the bigger those distractions are going to become. The more you focus on what it is that you want, the more of that is going to come to pass. And it's going to come to pass even faster. So it's really, really, really important that you get a handle on your thoughts. I think I use the example of like a monkey with symbols, right? And just, you know, those little wind up monkeys with symbols, kind of like the Energizer bunny. Imagine like 12 of those in front of you. And you're like, eyes darting all over the place. Your attention is scattered. It's going to be a bit of a challenge. But what can come to pass with this particular transit is out of this world. And I don't say that lightly. And I don't say that as a euphemism either. It's true. Like I said, Jupiter expands. Are you ready for expansion? I'll never forget. I was I want to say that I started following the moon cycles back in, I want to say 2017. And so I was constantly doing new moon intentions and full moon rituals. Like I was so on it. And I remember shortly after I started doing that, my life completely fell apart. And I had a very heated conversation with God. And I said to God, why would you do this to me? I've been working hard. I've been doing this. And it's like I felt like a fool, right? Because I had all these intentions, all these things I wanted to have. And then my life fell apart. And I'm like, I felt so far away from the things that I actually wanted. And that's when God said to me, I need you to have patience, because I'm destroying what is standing in the way of you having what you want. Sometimes the things that we want, we have to grow into. We're not yet the person that can call those things in, or sometimes we're not even the version of ourselves that can sustain those things. That's where I think a lot of the manifestation content falls short. that it doesn't address any of that. It just addresses the fact that you have the power to create your reality. Here are these hacks. Manifest your dream car in 3 days. It's so much more than that. It's about embodying who you truly are, which is God. You are God. You are the God of your reality. And so we're just going to get ourselves together. We're going to get ourselves healthy, spiritually, physically, mentally, and really start manifesting some great things in our lives. All right. So again, with the astrology, Sun trine Pluto, Venus trine Pluto, and then Jupiter moving into Gemini. And then going into June, Jupiter is actually going to trine Pluto as well. So I want you to take notice of the fact that Pluto is, apart from Jupiter, the other major player of this time period right now. Pluto is like, listen, I am intensifying everything. It's like Jupiter is expanding and Pluto is intensifying. Okay. So it's a lot. And you're likely going to feel pulled well past your comfort zone. I think I also gave this example of how, when you are being overly indulgent, especially when it comes to food, like you have your favorite food, your favorite dessert, whatever it is, and you just go ham on it, right? Like you are just eating mindlessly maybe, and you're just going. Before you know it, you are so full. Like think of Thanksgiving dinner, right? And how you have to usually unbutton your pants. Or if you're like me, I either wear skirts or sweats, so I don't have to do that. But you get what I'm trying to say, right? That expansion and how it feels good, but then it also can feel really uncomfortable because you feel like you're about to pop. And that's where we're at right now. Now, this energy operates whether you're conscious of it or not. So while there are going to be growing pains, right? Whether you are consciously creating or mindlessly creating, understanding that you're going through growing pains while consciously creating is one thing, right? Like you're being pushed past your comfort zone because you know that on the other side of this is a completely different life, is, the things that you want, the things that you truly desire. Whereas mindlessly creating, you feel this stretch, you feel this expansion, and you think it's a negative thing. You attribute negative qualities to it. And then before you know it, you're manifesting an abundance of negative qualities, negative things, the things that you don't want, things to complain about, right? That's not where we're at right now. So starting this week, I want you to really start to be intentional about what you're thinking. And part of this, and I'll go into this later, but part of this is adopting certain habits or rituals to do on a daily basis. It's going to help you with that. But we'll get into that a little later. So now let's get into some manifestation. So you've got law of attraction, you've got law of assumption, and you have a whole bunch of people battling with each other as to which one works, which doesn't. Both of those are universal laws. They both operate, again, whether you're conscious of it or not. However, when I talk about conscious creation, I'm referring to the law of assumption. And the law of assumption is that whatever you assume, whatever you believe is what becomes your reality. Okay. Now, this builds upon one of the 7 Hermetic principles, actually the first of the 7 Hermetic principles, which is the principle of mentalism. And that principle states that all is mind. The universe is mental. The universe, we are microcosms of the universal macrocosm. We are God in the flesh. We are a fractal of God, right? And our mind is where it's at. Okay, so consciousness, awareness, and intention are the orders of the day. Okay. And again, I don't want you to get scared or get nervous or feel like, oh my God, because it can be, like I said before, it can be daunting, right? Where you're just like, oh my gosh, I have to monitor my thoughts. Oh my God, I thought this. Is this going to manifest right now? No. We're approaching this from our natural selves and from a place of relaxation and ease. And to be honest, manifestation is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be lighthearted. It's supposed to be like you have a magic wand and boop, I thought this thing, boop, there it is. I thought this thing, boop, there it is. Like, that's the state we're supposed to be in when we're manifesting. The problem that I have with the way that a lot of people teach manifesting is that I call it like you're manifesting with your ass cheeks clenched. You're like, oh my God, I've got to affirm 10 million times. Or, oh my God, I got to do this. It's like, it's sort of like that hustle culture kind of feeling. And what does that do? It tenses you up and it makes you nervous. It makes you anxious. And so what do you think you're going to manifest when you're manifesting from that state? Nervousness and anxiousness. You have to prioritize yourself with this. And by that, I mean, rather than mindlessly scrolling through TikTok for 2 hours, meditate, relax, turn off your phone, go out in nature. These things will help your manifestation abilities, your conscious creation abilities to start running on autopilot in the way that you want them to. Because here's the thing. You've got people teaching you these techniques, right? But no one's really telling you that at some point this has to be natural. It has to be on autopilot. You don't want to be doing techniques forever, right? And so to do that, you have to set yourself up for that. You have to adopt certain habits. You have to adopt a certain mindset. You got to heal some of your shit. Let's be honest. I think that's the thing that bothers me the most is when people are like, well, you don't need to heal to manifest. Well, you don't. But again, you're going to manifest your perfect partner. And because of all of your emotional baggage, a lot of that's sitting in your messy ass sacral chakra, they're going to leave again. And then you got to do the techniques for them to come back. And then before you know it, you've been doing this makeup to breakup thing 4 times and you're exhausted. I know I had gotten to a point where I was like, I'm tired of affirming. I'm tired of this. And that's when I realized that the way that I was approaching it was sort of fragmented. Manifestation is just a part of who you are as a divine being having a human experience. There are other things that you do. You've got gifts. You've got a whole bunch of stuff. You've got all of this wonderful divinity within you. And manifestation is just a fraction of that, right? But you gotta do the other stuff too, right? So, like I said, when we talk about the law of assumption, we're talking about what you assume becoming your reality. And what you need to understand is that you are at the center of this law. The law all starts with you. It starts with how you think. And because all is mental, right? The law of mentalism, what you think becomes your reality. But what you think is one thing, what you believe is another. Thinking, consciousness, beliefs, programming, subconsciousness. You got to get both of those on board. You have to have a balance, a healthy balance between the two. So let's talk about your actual mental thoughts. This is where all of the techniques come in, right? Now, some of these things I do not ascribe to. Lately, and of course, people are really pushing this kind of content because people want to see it and it makes the algorithm happy. But robotic affirmations, people are telling you that you need to, once you affirm something for 10,000 times, that it will come to pass. And I'm not doubting that. If you think about something enough, of course, it'll come to pass. I just said all is mental, right? What you think becomes a thing. So if you're thinking, I have a new car, I have a new car, I have a new car, and you're robotically affirming, at some point, you will get that car. I'm not doubting whether it works or not. I'm doubting the effectiveness of it. And what I mean by that is, let me backtrack for a second. I don't know about you, but me personally, I came into the law of assumption when I was down bad. Like I said before, my life imploded, and out of nowhere, oops, hold on a second. Out of nowhere, the law of assumption comes into my life. I can create my reality. This is great, right? Again, when you start off, you're kind of scared because you're like, I can monitor my thoughts. It feels like such a process, right? It feels very arduous. I use arduous intentionally because robotic affirming 10,000 times, and 10,000 is the number that they're putting out there, but there's no necessarily scientific evidence that says that 10,000 is what it's going to be. When you operate from that place, how are you feeling, right? I don't know. You know how if you have to write something repeatedly, like, you know, in The Simpsons in the opening credits, how they have Bart writing something on the chalkboard repeatedly, like normally that was a punishment. It's a chore. It's arduous. And what did I say before? Manifesting is supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be natural. Okay. That's the problem that I have with robotic affirming. It's not natural. It gets you to saturate your conscious mind, but it's really not working on the inside. On the inside, you're probably like, right? And that's not, unless you want to manifest some of that, like that's not exactly how you want to go about it. So it's really important that you check how a lot of these techniques make you feel. What state are you in when you're doing them? How are you saturating your mind and your subconscious mind with new thoughts, with new narratives, with new stories, right? Hi, Linda J. I see you. Thanks for joining. How do you feel when you do those things? That's really important. And I think that's something that a lot of people aren't necessarily addressing. Now, when it comes to techniques, what I find that works is that you saturate your mind when you are in a state of relaxation. There's two techniques that you can use for this. There's state akin to sleep, and there are subliminals. So state akin to sleep, you know, when you're about to fall asleep and you're sort of 1 foot in slumber, 1 foot awake, you're in that very lucid sort of state. That is when you affirm. That is when you express your desire. You could whisper it. You could think it. Falling asleep to this new story, this new narrative is what state akin to sleep is. Then you have my personal favorite, which are subliminals. Because if I'm being honest, when I try to do state akin to sleep, I get a little like, oh my gosh, I'm falling asleep. Let me think of this. Like, it sort of takes me out of the sleepy state. It can work. If that works for you, that's great. But for me, sometimes I'm a little too intentional, right? I don't get to sleep. Now I'm like wide awake, wired, thinking about what it is that I want. So I am a proponent of subliminals. Subliminals are just recorded affirmations that I listen to while I am asleep. Again, the point is to saturate not only your conscious mind, but your subconscious mind with a new story, affirmations, a new narrative, if you will, okay? While you are relaxed. This process is meant to be relaxing. It's meant to be natural. Your natural state for manifestation is relaxing, right? Because think about when things just things happen all the time. Everything in your reality is created. And it's not to say that you were hyper intentional about something for it to come to pass. If you can get everything that you want to manifest naturally in that way, how great would life be where you're not concerned about affirming 10,000 times a day? Where it just comes naturally. So for me, subliminals are definitely the way to go when it comes to techniques. Now, if you want to experience a subliminal, I have a free subliminal, and I'll leave the link in the description box below and in the pinned comment. So you can get a flavor for subliminals if you are not already familiar with them. Okay. And I also do customized personal subliminals as well. So if you get the free subliminal, you'll be on my newsletter, email list, and you'll get more information about my custom subliminals. All right. But for me, subliminals are the way to go. Now that is techniques. Okay. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is sort of the cornerstone of manifestation, and that is self-concept. So self-concept is pretty self-explanatory. It is what you believe about yourself. This plays a major role in manifestation because your beliefs become your reality, right? That's the essence of the law of assumption. Now, what you believe about yourself will be reflected back to you, not only in the things that are in your reality, but more importantly, the people in your reality. I'm sorry, I had to pause to look at the comments. I love how you guys talk to each other in the comments. Like it's so heartwarming. I absolutely love it. All right, so self-concept, what you believe about yourself. Let's use an example. Let's say that you think you are the most amazing person in the world. You probably have prominent Leo placements. Let's be real, because you know how Leos think. They are the kings and queens of the jungle. Like their ish don't stink, right? But you have a very healthy sense of confidence in yourself. You think you're amazing, and you believe that everyone knows that you're amazing. So guess what typically ends up happening in your reality? Everyone treats you as though you are amazing. People roll out the red carpet for you. You always get free things. You always get to cut the line. You always get special attention. You are the exception to the rule. You stand out because of your healthy sense of self. Now, the opposite is also true. If you think that you are not worthy, if you think that you are not smart, that you're not pretty, that no one will ever stay with you, that is the reality that you are creating for yourself. And so people will treat you like you're not worthy. You get stood up. You don't get called back. You don't get the job. You don't get approved. You hear a lot of no's because you are consistently saying no to yourself, right? So self-concept is the crux of manifestation, because here's the thing, and I'm going to use robotic affirming, right? You're saturating your mind with, I have a new car, I have a new car, I have a new car, I have a new car. You've even done it 10,000 times in a week, right? But your underlying belief about yourself is that you either never get what you want, or if you get what you want, it gets taken away from you. And this is because that's what you've experienced in childhood. Maybe you grew up in a home where, money was always tight. The things that you wanted, you could never have. Maybe you grew up in a large family, and maybe once you got something, you had to share it with everybody else. So you didn't get to hold on to things for yourself. Whatever the case is, whatever you experience in childhood, that forms the basis of your belief. So you could manifest all you want. I have a new car, I have a new car, I have a new car. And guess what? You have the money, you go to the dealership, you get this new car, and then guess what? 2 months later, it gets repoed. Why? Because of your underlying beliefs about yourself. I'm not worthy. And let me tell you this. This is an interesting sort of analogy, but it's what's coming to me right now. You know how people will get liposuction? And they tell you that you really have to eat well after liposuction because you'll end up having these random pockets of fat show up in different places, like places other than where you got the liposuction. So let's say you got like a tummy tuck and you really feeling yourself, you are looking snatched, right? And then your eating goes off the rails. And before you know it, you have like a pocket of fat on your shoulder. You've got saddlebags. Your stomach may still look snatched, but you've got these little pockets of random fat all over the place. That's what a poor self-concept is like. You'll get the manifestation if you've been saturating your conscious mind, but if you've been ignoring your subconscious mind, it's not going to last. You're not going to be able to sustain it. So you have to start with a healthy self-concept. What you should listen to at night, start with self-concept affirmations. I'm worthy. I'm deserving. I'm the operant power in my universe. Always get what I want. Everyone treats me like royalty. Those are the kind of things that you should start out with. Because what's going to happen is that's going to start being reflected back to you in your reality. So now you're starting to get more compliments, or maybe things are starting to be a little easier for you. That gives you more confidence to start working on the other things. Okay. So self-concept is the key. Okay. So the other thing that I want to talk about is something that's known as everyone is you pushed out. And this is important because relationships are a reflection of us. They're a reflection of what we believe. Now, this can be highly controversial because perhaps at times in our life, we've had people who have treated us really badly. Maybe we've even had people abuse us, right? And it's not to victim blame and say it's your fault. However, we create the circumstances in our lives, and you need to take ownership of that early. Otherwise, conscious creation you're not consciously creating. You can't create exceptions. The law is universal. It works whether you believe it or not. You create your circumstances for better or for worse. And I'm just going to leave it at that. But with everyone is you pushed out, everyone is a reflection of you. It's like everyone is holding up a mirror to you, and they're showing you filtered through the lens of your beliefs, what you think. Okay. So let me give you another example, because most times people tend to be focused on relationships when it comes to manifesting, right? You want a specific person. So let's say that you probably have prominent Leo placements, and you think you are just all that, right? You're beautiful, you're this, you're that. You've got a healthy sense of confidence. And so you attract a lot of people, right? You attract a lot of men if you're a woman or whatever you're into. You attract a lot of people, you attract a lot of men, you attract a lot of women, whatever. But let's say you have an underlying belief that all men cheat or that all women are gold diggers. And you're just like, well, everyone's treating me great, but nobody wants to stay around. Or you get cheated on. And you're like, how could I possibly get cheated on? Have they seen me? Have they seen all this? How would anyone cheat on me? This is sort of the example that typically comes to mind when I think of celebrities, right? I remember Halle Berry was and still is absolutely stunningly gorgeous. She was what women wanted to be like and who men wanted to be with, right? But homegirl's relationship life was like off the rails. Like she went through some really tough relationships and people were like, I don't get it. Like she's Halle Berry, right? Same thing with Beyonce, right? Beyonce has been open about Jay-Z cheating on her and people are like, how could you cheat on Beyonce? She's Beyonce. Well, what does Beyonce really think about herself? Or conversely, what does Beyonce think about relationships or men? You could have a great self-concept, but if you have beliefs about people or life in general that perhaps contradict what you actually want, you're going to start manifesting the things that you don't want. Yes, you'll get a lot of attention because you feel good about yourself. But if you think and believe that all men cheat, you're going to attract men who really like you, but who are going to cheat on you. Or if you think all women are gold diggers, yeah, you're going to attract the whole women who just want you for your money. You have to check what you believe about things, not just what you believe about yourself, but also what you believe about people. This is what is super important when it comes to everyone is you pushed out, especially when it comes to manifesting somebody. Because invariably what happens is you can manifest the person, but how is the person treating you? What do you believe about relationships? It's time to change all of that. It's time for you to have better beliefs about things. And that's not an easy task, right? We have wounds about ourselves, what we think about ourselves. We have wounds with respect to relationships. God knows we've got wounds with respect to relationships because a lot of us have been heartbroken, hurt, abused, abandoned. And saying 10,000 affirmations, it's like putting a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound. You got to get deeper. How do you change those beliefs? In my opinion, you heal them. Now, there's this new content creator that I just started following who does, manifestation content. And his channel is called Here Nor There. Like, he's a really dope dude. His whole channel is awesome. Like, he literally just started a couple of months ago. But he was talking about how he doesn't like the word heal because he feels like when you think about heal, it has this sort of intensity to it that makes you feel, that sort of keeps you in a healing loop. Like you constantly feel like you have to heal, constantly feel like you have to heal. And to be honest, healing is not linear. Healing is cyclical. Okay. And I have a lot more videos such as this coming in the future. So we're going to talk about a lot of this in depth. This is just meant to be the appetizer, sort of get your feet wet when it comes to manifestation and living as your God self, right? So he says, rather than say healing, you have to forgive, right? Forgiving yourself, perhaps for your shortcomings, and forgiving other people. But that still, to me, constitutes healing. Healing work, I think, has to be done because manifestation is not in a vacuum. You're a divine being. And you're a divine being having a human experience. And so human experiences leave imprints on our divinity in terms of wounds, in terms of trauma. But when you realize that you are a divine person, you're a divine being, healing is necessary. So healing what you feel about how you feel about yourself, healing your wounds, all of that is also part of the process. And when you start to do that, people start to show up in your life differently. One of the things that people will tell you about conscious creation is that it's an inside job. Healing is an inside job. If you have a relationship that's not where you want it to be, maybe your partner is not treating you the way that you want to be treated. You don't change them. You don't endeavor to change them. You change yourself. And by changing yourself, that change will be reflected back to you in your person. Just like when you are getting ready, right? Anyone who wears makeup, right? You put on your makeup. Maybe you're trying to do a winged eyeliner, which I like to do sometimes, and you mess it up. You see in the mirror that it's messed up. Do you change the mirror? Do you erase the winged liner in the mirror? No, you erase it on yourself. You take it off yourself and then you redo it here. And then the mirror will show you perfect liner, right? The perfect makeup, the perfect shave, the perfect hair. You change yourself and then you see that in the mirror. That's how you change your circumstances. Okay. So self-concept, we covered that. Everyone is you pushed out. We covered that. Now I want to talk about some misconceptions. The big one, healing, like I mentioned before. I personally think that to manifest effectively, you need to heal. That's why we started with some breath work. That's why I used my sound bowl to help clear out some of the stagnant energy in our sacral chakras. That stuff is important. And I do follow other creators on YouTube who talk about how, healing is important, how breath work is important, how having a regulated nervous system so you're not wired and anxious and firing on all cylinders, because it's like when you manifest from that place, you start to get really wonky results in your reality. Again, manifestation. If there's three things that I want you to take away from what state you should be in when you're manifesting, it's a natural state, it's a relaxed state, and it's having fun. It's lighthearted. It's not heavy. It's not intense. It's not arduous. It's not a chore. Okay. Habits. Now, I did a video on an overview of manifesting with the law of assumption, and I'll put the link in the description box below so you can check it out. I talk about habits because habits are really important. Now, of course, habits like scripting, subliminals, where you're actually, saturating your mind with the news story, that's obviously a habit. But because we are divine beings, because I at least approach and teach manifestation from a holistic perspective, there are certain habits that you should adopt on a daily basis. So first, and this is one that I definitely need work on as well, hydration. Please drink water. Please stay hydrated. Remember I talked about before, like Pluto and that attraction, right? We're 90% water. So think of like the tides of the ocean, right? How they bring things in. If your ocean is dry, what are you bringing in? I saw something on Instagram yesterday about like your manifestations can't find you if you're like dry and crusty. Like, hydrate. Second, work out. Working out is amazing for your mind. Now, I'm not talking about, training for a marathon, excessive weight training, whatever feels good to you. Yoga, cardio, strength training, move your body. We are divine beings having a human experience, but you got to move your body. Hydrate, move your body. And the most important of the daily rituals or routines that you need to be doing, I believe, when it comes to manifestation, and that is a complete game changer, meditation. I talked about before about how you have like a monkey with symbols just running around in your head sometimes, right? Meditation puts that monkey to sleep, okay? And allows you to be present. The whole point of conscious creation, consciousness. If you are 10 steps ahead, you're thinking about all this other shit, you're distracted with everything that's going on, you're mindlessly scrolling, you are the exact opposite of conscious. Okay? Intentional is what I mean when I say conscious. So meditation helps you get into a state of consciousness. It helps you be present. Now, it is not required for manifestation, right? However, it damn sure helps. If you don't even know how to quiet your mind, how are you going to manifest the things that you want? It's going to be wonky. It's going to be all over the place. Meditate. Okay? So meditate, hydrate, work out. Those are the 3 daily habits that should be a part of your routine when we're talking about not just manifestation, conscious creation, and living your best life. Again, manifestation is not just in a bubble. It's not just manifest this, right? Because also, what kind of life do you want to have? Okay. You want that great relationship. You want that $1 million home. You want that car. But how would you feel if you had a car, but you didn't have your health? Or you had a relationship, but you had no money? Nobody wants that, honey, right? We're living well-rounded over here, okay? And that's exactly what I'm going to be guiding you through, teaching you through, healing you through from this point forward. That is my promise and my vow to you, all right? So hopefully this message found who it needed to find. Hopefully it reaches the ears it needed to hear, because we are only going up from here. We are only living our best life, doing our best, having our best, being our best. And we're going to be conscious about it. We're going to be intentional about it. And I'm going to hold you to it. Don't think that I'm just doing this video and then this is it. Oh no, honey, we're about to go a lot deeper. deeper into manifestation, deeper into healing. So I really want you to stick around for what's to come because, again, we are only going up from here. All right, my loves. Thank you so much for joining me. All right. And so to close, I'm going to do a little more breathing. All right. So I want you to get comfortable. I want you to get relaxed. I want you to sit up. I want you to lie down, whatever you feel like doing, close your eyes, listen and participate. All right. So I want you to take a deep inhalation in through the nose and then out through the mouth as though you are blowing through a straw. Okay. Again, deep inhalation in through the nose and out through the mouth as though you are blowing through a straw. Again, deep inhalation through the nose, perhaps the deepest breath you've taken today. Okay. And now out through the mouth as though you're blowing through a straw. Again, deep inhalation in through the nose. And again, out through the mouth as though you're blowing through a straw. So remember, we have our crown chakra sunroof wide open. We've got our palms open. We've got the soles of our feet open. So now we are going to close everything down. So on your next exhalation, I want you to gently close the sunroof of your crown chakra. Okay. Deep inhalation in. Now on your next exhale, I want you to close the chakras at the palms of the hands. Good. Now deep inhalation in. On the exhale, I want you to close the chakras at the soles of the feet. Beautiful. Now, deep inhalation in. On your next exhale, I want you to open your eyes as if you're looking toward the tip of your nose. Beautiful. And last one, on your next inhalation, I want you to look up. And finally, exhale as though you're blowing through a straw. All right, my loves. Hopefully you sleep well this evening or you sleep well whenever you are watching this. Thank you so much for your time, your patience, your participation. And like I said, there is so much more to come with all of this. All right, so until next time, take care.